In this video, I'm taking you on a walk to Llyn Dulyn. It's a circular walk and you'll pass by another reservoir on the way. It's a lowland walk in the Conedau and it's absolutely stunning with amazing views, and you'll also almost undoubtedly see Conedau ponies on this walk. Cwm Dulyn is a beautiful valley in the Conedau mountain range in Eryri, North Wales.
Good boy, Zig.
There's a small car park up the end of a very narrow and very twisty mountain road up from Dolgarrog. You can find a link to the route map and everything else you need, parking details, in the description link below, and it links through to my blog post where there's lots more pictures and lots more information. The first part of this walk is really easy to follow. It's a very wide track that takes you all the way up to the first reservoir, which is called Llyn Melynllyn, which means yellow lake. I'm not sure why it's called that. If anyone knows, do let me know.
How low the water is.
After the first reservoir, instead of there being a track, it then turns into a path. This path is actually currently being worked on. It's been turned into a properly engineered path, and it's quite strange because they've actually installed a handrail, so these big sort of steel posts and big thick rope, which is quite useful to go down, but it's a bit odd and strange in this landscape to have suddenly this kind of really human thing here. And they are actually creating the steps to make that all a lot easier. I can only assume that this is to do with the people that are currently working on the reservoir, because it is a hydroelectric plant, or however you know, whatever that's called. But there's sort of signs at the moment of a lot of activity here. There's even portaloos and things, obviously not accessible to the public. But just bear that in mind if you're travelling up there at the moment, that there is a lot of activity going on. Llyn Dulyn also has quite a dark history. At the moment, with the water levels so low, it's really easy to see there's evidence of plane crashes here. You can clearly see a propeller, all sorts of big chunks of metal that come off the aircraft. There's more than one aircraft that's crashed into Llyn Dulyn in the past. And on my blog, I've shared a BBC recording from the 1970s, which interviews some of the locals about the sort of myth and legend behind this lake, which Llyn Dulyn means Black Lake. The next section on this walk is quite interesting. As you walk past an old bothy, it would have been constructed back when they were originally creating the reservoirs, which I think is at the very end of the 19th century. I'm not super keen on bothies. I find them a little bit creepy. You have to bear in mind, if you wanted to stay, everyone is welcome to stay in a bothy. But that does mean that you can't book it for yourself. I've put a link to the people that maintain this bothy if you're interested in finding out how you can stay. You might be just sort of generally a much more sociable person than I am, but I just find the idea of sleeping in a kind of hut with some complete strangers a bit freaky. Tell me I'm wrong, and tell me about all the wonderful bothy experiences that you had and all the lifelong friends that you've made. Just for me, it just feels a little bit weird.
Watch that sheep.
From this point onwards, it gets a little bit boggy. If you are on the actual path, just where I am looking at the stream, I'm not actually on the official footpath here. It's a bit further up. I just veered down because I wanted to go and have a look and see if there was enough water for a paddle. But yeah, the path can get very boggy, and you just need to make sure that you know what you're doing in terms of navigation, because if the cloud comes in, you're quite a high up here, so it could get very cloudy very quickly. You'd lose vision, and you're then navigating through bog, and you really want to make sure that you're heading in the right direction, because the style is going to be quite hard for you to find. It's a very thin metal style, the first one, and on the three occasions I've done this walk, it's always been a bit of a nightmare getting my dog over it. He's brilliant with most styles, but he wasn't very happy about the metal. He did make it, and it was fine, and he managed to jump down with a big splash into that big puddle and completely get me filthy every time that I've done this walk. um, but it's such a beautiful walk, it's well worth it, and there's these gorgeous streams that come down off the hills that you're passing across, so, and they'd be absolutely beautiful spot for a little picnic.
Is it any better down there, Ziggy?
I've got a link in the description where I've got the blog post with lots more detail, especially about the history of this area. Dulyn is associated with some very dark legends and myths. It's a very interesting lake and well worth reading more about. You'll get to a point where you pick up another wide track, which then leads you back round the hillside to the original path that you were on, making the complete circular route. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. It is an absolutely stunning walk. So let me know about any of your bothy experiences, and also if you have visited Llyn Dulyn, or you're local and you know much more about the history, I'd love to hear about it. If you want to leave a comment and let me know anything more about this really stunning landscape.